They branded me nanny material and blocked my allowance. At 9:03 a.m. on commencement day, I tied the last honor cord on my regalia and slid a sealed envelope under their reserved seats. Today, the stage would speak louder than they ever did. 3 months before Christmas, my mother turned our Sunday dinner into a board meeting. No dessert, just numbers. My sister, Ava, balanced her toddler on one hip like a prop. My stepfather, Rick, opened a spreadsheet on the TV and said the words that still hum in my jaw. "We're suspending your allowance. It's time you embrace what you're good at helping. Your nanny material, Maya." I looked at the frozen cells on the screen. Maya $0, Avo bridal budget plus childcare stipend. Lemon chicken cooled in silence. "I'm a semester from graduating," I said. "My practicum starts in January. I can't move home to babysit." Mom smiled like a teacher reading a bad essay. "College is a nice phase, but family needs come first. Your grandmother's fund was for support while you figured things out. Ava is stable. You're flexible." Flexible meant they could bend me. Flexible meant 3 a.m. pickups, missed labs, and text messages that began "since you're free." I wasn't free. I was unpaid. Rick clicked to a new slide labeled Character Growth. 6 months without cash will sharpen your focus, he said. You can learn responsibility while helping your sister. Ava kissed her kid's forehead like a period on the sentence. "You're so good with him, May." Some people just have that helper energy. Helper energy. Nanny material. The labels stuck like grease. That night, I sat on my dorm floor with a calculator and a cold cup of coffee, and I learned what sharp really is. I emailed financial aid at 1:12 a.m. I applied for the campus resident advisor role at 1:34. I took a weekend shift in the library tech desk at 2:10. By Monday noon, I had a meal plan extension, raw housing, and a microgrant from the Equity Scholars Fund for students in sudden family displacement. I didn't tell my family. I told the registrar to print my name with honors. I told the dean's office that my guests would need row C front left. I asked the usher if I could place envelopes on those seats before the ceremony. "As long as it's nothing dramatic," she said. "It's just paper," I said, and meant it. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments about which country you're watching this video from. Enjoy the story. By finals, my phone was a museum of Redbubble demands from home. I set them to Do Not Disturb and passed my practicum, with a supervisor who wrote, "Shows leadership under pressure." I bought my cap, my gown, and the cords I earned in night labs nobody saw. Graduation morning. Campus bells struck 9 o'clock. I pinned my tassel right, smoothed the gown, and walked into the arena while families practiced their loudest love. In row C, 3 chairs waited with their names. I slid the envelopes beneath each mom. Rick Ivan tucked an extra under the kid's booster seat. "Attention graduates," the marshal said over the hum. Line up by college. I took my place near the front School of Health and Human Sciences, and felt the stage under my feet like a promise. The label they gave me would follow me in, but the letters I left under their chairs would follow them out. The arena lights warmed up like morning. Programs rustled. A string quartet tuned, and then found a soft, brave song. Row C filled on schedule. My mother arrived first, in winter pearls, chin-high eyes, sweeping the room for status. Rick followed with a Bluetooth in one ear he didn't need today. Ava came last with the stroller she said she never used because she always had me. The usher pointed to the booster seat I'd requested. Ava parked the stroller anyway. The usher pointed again. Ava sighed. She bent, slid into the row, and her hand brushed the envelopes under their names. She lifted mine like a raccoon testing. "A shiny thing, Mum, Rick, Ava," and a fourth one taped under the booster. For Tiny Boss Open with help, their faces made a little triangle of distrust. On the floor, our line in Health and Human Sciences shifted forward. I checked my tassel. A gold medallion lay flat on my chest under the cordza circle, with the school seal and a single word, Marshall, Marshall. The girl behind me whispered, "That's you. Today, I said I had said yes to that email at 2:03 a.m. 3 nights ago. Would you serve as student marshal and lead your college to the stage? You're graduating with honors, and your practicum supervisor recommended you for poise under pressure. The reply I sent, yes, and thank you. Near the podium, Dean Carter found me with a clipboard and a mic pack. Mic check, he said, clipping it to my collar. You cue the aisle when the anthem ends. Then you hold here until we announce the outstanding capstone. Don't move when they say the name, he winked. It's yours. The room went taller. From row C. Ava finally opened her program. You could see the moment she found my name twice, once in the list where it belonged, and once on the back page under commencement honors and student marshal. She looked at Mum. Mum didn't look back. She was reading the envelope flap like it might explain what a medallion means. My phone buzzed in my gown pocket. Do not disturb, let the text through because I'd start it. Ms. Alvarez, practicum, proud of you. Row G, right side. Breathe slow. I breathed slow. Graduates, please rise. The marshal to my left called. We rose. The anthem ended. Applause poured out like warm water. I lifted my hand, and the front row of our college began to walk. Blue gowns, black shoes, tassels, trembling like little flags. I led them down the aisle, past row C. Ava leaned out. Maya, after the ceremony, can you take him so we can hit Liam's parents' brunch? The medallion touched my ribs like a knock. I didn't look at her. I looked at the stage I had earned. We reached the bottom steps. A faculty marshal in velvet sleeves touched my elbow. Hold here, she whispered. Awards first. The dean stepped to the mic. This year's outstanding capstone goes to a student who built a low-cost sensor kit and training that helped our clinic reduce ER transfers by 18%. She did it while working nights and serving as a resident advisor. My college shut up together. The pause had a flavor. Then, Maya Ellis. The sound didn't feel like a sound. It felt like a room breaking and then rebuilding around a new fact. I didn't move. I did what they told me. I stood. I let them clap. I watched row C read the program again to make sure it said what it said. Rick made a face like math had betrayed him. Mum's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. She looked down at the envelope with her name on it, as if it might explain how I had become not her label and still her child. Ava laughed once, not mean, not nice. Just shocked. She lifted the 4 tiny boss envelope and tucked it in the diaper bag like a truce she didn't understand yet. Marshall, the velvet sleeve whispered at my arm. You're up. I stepped onto the stage. The cords, the medallion, the microphone, none of it weighed more than the word they'd used on me all year. Nanny material. I adjusted the mic. The dean nodded. The quartet hushed. The lights settled. Row C waited. The envelopes waited. And for the first time in months, my voice did not. I leaned into the mic. The arena got small enough to fit in my chest. Good morning, I said. I'm Maya Ellis, Student Marshal for Health and Human Sciences. I was told to keep this to 60 seconds. A polite ripple of laughter. I kept going. Some of us worked nights. Some of us were resident advisors, or lab assistants. Or the people who walked friends to urgent care at 3 a.m. We've been called helpers like it's a smaller thing. Today, I want you to see it the way our clinic did. I lifted my hand to the AV table. The house lights dipped. The Jumbotron blinked from family faces to a 30-second clip. I'd cleared with the dean at 6:40 a.m., a nurse tapping a cheap sensor clipped to a bed, a simple dashboard flashing green. A caption, ER transfers down 18%. A slide of my team in thrifted lab coats, grinning and exhausted. Applause that started cautious and then forgot to stop. I found Rosie. Mum didn't clap at first. Then she did, once, like testing a step. Rick stared at the screen as if numbers had betrayed him in public. Ava squinted at the caption, and then down at the envelope with her name. I finished clean. To all the helpers in this room, graduates, and the people who got us here, thank you. We did work you couldn't see. Today, you can see the quartet picked up the cue. Dean Carter shook my hand. Perfect, he said under applause. Recessional plan still stands. Yes, I said. My palms were dry. Names began. Row by row, our college crossed the stage. When they called mine, I moved how I'd practiced all, easy, like I knew where I was going. The president pressed the diploma cover into my hands. The marshal ribbon brushed my shoulder. The medallion warmed like it had found skin. On my way back down the steps, I passed row C again. Mum's eyes were wet and stubborn. Rick had his Bluetooth in his pocket now, as if that made him smaller. Ava gave me a tiny shrug that read, "What is happening?" and a tiny smile that read, "Okay." The rest blurred. Caps tossed. Flashbulbs, brass. The recessional lined us up like a slow river. I lifted my hand for our turn, and the band swelled. We walked back up the aisle into families standing on chairs, yelling names like prayers. As we reached row C, I felt 3 small gravity wells, the envelopes under their seats. Each had a sticker on the flap, "Open after recessional." I didn't break stride. I didn't need to. Outside, winter air cut the noise in half. Graduates filled the plaza, flowers and phones everywhere. I stood by the campus seal and waited. They came together, Mum first. Rick right behind Ava, steering the stroller with one knee. Mum held the envelope like a hot plate. She opened it. Inside, a 1-page letter on the clinic's letterhead. Head my supervisor's words. Myers Capstone Tools. Reduced avoidable transfers by 18%. We offered her a clinical implementation fellowship. Start date, June 10th. Salary $62,000 plus tuition for an MPH schedule is hers. Under it, a copy of my RA contract and a neat budget with every grant and shift that replaced the allowance they'd cut. She read it twice. Her face changed by inches. "You had a plan," she said, throat tight. "I did," I said. Rick opened his. It was simpler, a notice from the credit union removing him as cosigner on the old allowance account tied to my grandmother's fund. The day I turned 21 and a printed stop pay on any transfer request from his name. At the bottom, "Please direct all future inquiries to me." His jaw worked. He didn't find a place to put anger that wouldn't look bad in daylight. He folded the paper back along the crease. Ava opened hers. A calendar fell out, 90 days, blocked in bold, fellowship orientation, lab build, MPH night classes. Under it, a plastic childcare cop card I'd spent 2 nights arranging through the campus center. 10 free drop-ins for her toddler, while the cop tested a community hours program. And a sticky note, "You said I'm good with him." "I am, but I'm not your childcare plan. These hours are." She blinked fast. "You did this for me?" she asked, not looking at the stroller. "Looking at me for him?" I said, tipping my head at the booster. "And for me?" I crouched to the tiny boss envelope. Inside, a foam, kid-sized mortarboard, and a certificate I'd printed at the library. First client. "Thanks for testing Aunt Maya's beeping thing." A crayon taped to it. "Sign here." He scribbled like a king. Mum pressed her lips together. For a second, I thought she'd argue with the air. She didn't. She looked at the medallion on my chest, then at the cop card in Ava's hand, then at Rick's empty one. "I called you nanny material," she said, voice small at last. "I meant you're good at care. I used it like a leash." "I'm sorry." I let the word land. I didn't rush to pick it up. "Care is a profession," I said finally. "I turned it into science. I won't be your safety net anymore. I can teach you how to make one." A gust lifted the edge of my gown. Somewhere, the band tried a pop song and failed, sweetly. Mum tucked a loose hair behind my ear like muscle memory. "What does a fellow do on a Sunday?" she asked, tentative. "Not babysit," I said, and smiled so she could stand there with me. "But I can come over and label your medbox. And set your phone to emergency bypass so you don't need to send 10 texts when one will do." Ava laughed through tears. "Helper energy," she said, rolling her eyes at herself. I said it like an insult. "It isn't," I said. "Just don't spend it for me." Rick cleared his throat. "We'll figure out the budget," he said. It wasn't thanks. It wasn't a fight. It was the beginning of him learning how to be quiet. The band hit the brass right on time. Camera shutters clicked like rain. The stage had said enough. Now the envelopes would do the rest. The plaza thinned. The brass gave way to chatter. Across the lawn, a sign pointed to the honors reception. Ms. Alvarez waved from the doorway. 5 minutes. She mouthed. 5, I said to my family. Then I'll come back out. Rick checked his watch like time worked for him. Mum nodded, guarded. Ava jiggled the stroller. The tiny boss smacked his foam mortarboard and giggled. Inside, the reception smelled like coffee and oranges. A poster board showed capstone snapshots. Mine sat in the middle sensor kit pilot, minus 18% are transfers. With a photo of my team in thrifted coats. Ms. Alvarez touched my arm. 2 people asked to meet you, she said. Dr. Shah from the county clinic. I recognized the name from emails, and Ms. Reeves from Hart Family Educational Fund. My spine cooled. The fund was the Allowance funnel Grandma set up. Rick had held the password like a leash. Ms. Reeves arrived first need suit. Flat shoes, a leather folio that looked exactly like decisions. Marion Reeves, she said. Trust administrator. Your grandmother was very specific. Funds support education until degree is conferred. After that, beneficiary controls remainder. She opened the folio. That happened today at 10:21 a.m. when the registrar scanned diplomas. Rick's voice came from the doorway. They'd followed me in. We've been managing that account, he said, trying for reasonable. We can continue disbursements for living costs. Ms. Reeves didn't blink. Section 4B. Upon degree conferral, any cosigner or proxy is removed. Unused balance transfers to the graduate's sole account within 3 business days. She slid a form across the table with a sticker that said, Sign here. You can waive or redirect. You can also decline retroactive allowance debt. Your choice. Rick's mouth pulled tight. There's no balance, he said quickly. We advanced. Ms. Reeves laid down a ledger printout. There is a balance, she said, calm, and a note from your grandmother in the file. If anyone calls it an allowance, remind them it's a seed. Mum's hand found the back of a chair. Mother wrote that. It cracked something open in her voice. I read the number. Not huge, not nothing. Enough to breathe while the fellowship started. Enough to stop doing math on my fingers. Transfer to my account. I said. No repayment to anyone. And please send a copy of 4B to my email. Done, Ms. Reeves said, pen already moving. It will land Wednesday. A small cheer rose behind me. Dr. Shah had joined Ms. Alvarez at the poster. Maya, he said, warm and exact. The hospital board approved a $12,000 microgrant to expand your kit to 2 more units. I'd like you to present to the nurses next month paid time. If your fellowship allows. It does, I said. Heartbeat in my ears. Mum stared at the numbers like they were a new language she wanted to pronounce correctly. Rick found a corner to examine. Ava looked from the grant to the stroller. Mine doing 2 kinds of math at once. The tiny boss chose that moment to launch his sippy cup. It bounced, sprayed, and rolled under the refreshment table. Ava's shoulders climbed to her ears. Maya, please, just 10 minutes. I bent, fished the cup out, handed it back. I love him, I said. Steady. I won't take him today. But I set something up for you. I nodded toward the door. A student in a campus polo waited there with a clipboard and an easy smile. Cope orientation, I said. 30 minutes with Grace, who has snacks and a stroller pump. It's the first drop-in from your card. You can meet us back on the plaza. Ava hesitated, pride and relief, fighting. Then she nodded. Grace. Okay. She knelt and buckled a strap like she meant it. Back soon. They left together. Ava, Grace, the tiny boss with his foam hat. The room exhaled. Benz Reeves slid me a small envelope. From the fund file, she said. Your grandmother wrote it the year you started college. We were told to release it when the degree is real. She smiled. Today, I didn't open it. Not yet. It was light as paper and heavy as a door. Dr. Shah shook my hand. Bring your Marshall medallion to the clinic when you present, he said. Let them see who's in charge of care around here. Rick drifted closer, softer now. So that's it, he said. You won't need us. I'll always want you, I said, not cruel. I won't need you like that. Mum reached for the envelope from Ms. Reeves, then stopped, then didn't. She would have sat front row, she said, voice breaking and mending in one breath. Your grandmother. She would have yelled louder than me. She still did, I said, touching the printed 4B. The quartet in the corner switched to something bright. Ms. Alvarez squeezed my shoulder, proud of you. Keep breathing. Across the hall, the usher announced photos on the seal. Outside, winter sun made the air clean. I slipped Grandma's envelope into my gown. There would be one more thing to open, one more voice to add to the stage, and when we met again on the plaza, I would ask my family something simple that might save us. Are you ready to live under new terms? We met again on the plaza by the campus seal. Sun on snow. Brass quiet. Paperloud.Ava came first, pushing the stroller with a handout tucked in the cup holder. Grace is a wizard, she said, half laugh, half relief. The cope is real. I booked 2 trial drop-ins for next week. The tiny boss wore a sticker member, Care Cop. He smacked it like applause. Rick hung back. Mum stood beside me, looking at the medallion like it might explain everything she had missed. I took Grandma's envelope from my gown and opened it. One sheet. Blue ink. Her hand, Maya, it began. When the degree is real, so are you. The fund I built is a seed, not a leash. Plant it where you stand. Release clause. You are not the family's default. You may love a child without becoming the plan. You can say no the way a door closes. To keep the heat, Inside wore a pin when I took my own stage as a school nurse. It lives in the bottom of my jewelry box. Wear it when you lead. Care is a profession. A small box had been taped to the back of the letter. Inside, a worn gold pin, 2 hands around a small lamp. I pinned it inside my gown, where I could feel it without showing it. Warm. Right. Ava watched me tuck the letter away. You're really going to do this? She said softly. Fellowship. Night classes. Big kit. A life, yes, I said. And I wrote something for us. I pulled a single page from my folio. Title across the top, Family Terms. Effective today, simple bullets. No barbs. Requests by text, 24 hours in advance. Emergencies equals fever, fall, fire, co-op first. Use your 10 drop-ins before you ask me, no labels. Nanny material retires. Care is work. So is mine. Money is clean. My accounts are mine. The fund is mine. No allowance. 1 number on emergency bypass moms. 1 voicemail, not 10 texts. Support travels both ways. You come to my clinic talk. I come to your kid's recital scheduled, not sprung. I looked at all 3 of them. Can you live under this? Ava read line by line. Yes, she said, and meant it. She tapped the cop bullet and nodded like a vow to herself. Grace already scheduled me for an orientation call tomorrow. I'm sorry I made you my plan. Thank you, I said. Will be better. Rick's mouth opened, closed. He tried a different angle. What if there's overlap? What if brunch, or no, is still a full sentence? I said, kind and firm. Use the list. He looked at Ms. Reeves's email on his phone like a reality check. He nodded once, not happy, not fighting. Learning how quiet felt, Mum took longer. She read Grandma's release clause twice. Then she took my page, uncapped a pen, and added 1 line at the bottom in tidy teacher letters. I am proud of you, Mum. She handed the paper back. I can live under this, she said, voice rough. I can learn this. Good, I said. Then we can take a picture and go get soup. I have exactly 50 minutes before I have to return the cap and gown. Ava laughed. It sounded like a door opening. Come on, tiny boss, she said, lifting him to the seal. Say cheese for Auntfellow. I rolled my eyes and gave up pretending it didn't feel good. We lined up, me and Regalia, Ava with the stroller, Mum with her hand on my shoulder. Rick standing where the sun didn't make him squint. A stranger offered to take the photo. We said yes. The shutter clicked. Bot Ms. Alvarez waved from across the plaza. 2 thumbs up. Dr. Shah called. See you next month, Marshall. The word landed better than any label I'd been given all year. Ava tucked a foil-wrapped cupcake into my hand. From the reception, she said, "You'll need sugar to return the gown." Mum brushed my sleeve. "Your grandmother would have stood on a chair," she said. She still found a way to be loud, I answered, tapping the letter in my pocket. We started toward the student center. Halfway there, Mum stopped. "One more thing," she said, lifting her phone. "Emergency bypass, show me." I took the phone, opened settings, added my number to the bypass list, and set Do Not Disturb for her nights. "Now the right call will get through," I said. "The rest can wait until morning." "New terms," she repeated, almost like a prayer. Before we reached the door, Grace and the tiny boss rejoined us. A new Copa card looped through the stroller handle. Ava squeezed my elbow. "Thank you for not letting me make you small," she whispered. "Thank you for making a plan instead." "I made 2, I said, smiling. "One for work, one for us." They had branded me nanny material and blocked my allowance. I took the stage in Regalia. And the stage returned the favor. It unbranded me. It handed me a medallion, a fellowship, a seed that finally belonged in my ground, and a pin that said care is power when you aim it. The brass started again somewhere behind, Usofki, joyous. We pushed the stroller through the doors and into the warm. The label they gave me stayed on the floor of the arena. The terms we wrote together walked out with us.